The following program was produced by the United States Courts.
World War II was the most extraordinary event in the history of the world. It covered the world, not only Europe, but Africa, India, Asia, in the Aleutian Islands, almost every island in the Pacific. And 55 million people died in World War II. Can you fathom that? It is incredible.
The United States federal courts are privileged to have well over 60 veterans of this most extraordinary war. 70 years later, they continue to serve their country as working members of the judiciary. 5 of these judges work close together as United States District Judges for the Eastern District of New York.
It's a brotherhood. We all consider ourselves as part of the brotherhood. We went through an experience which is unique, even though we may disagree philosophically or on the law, but we're still considered ourselves brothers.
I couldn't believe that a kid from Brooklyn, who never was more than 25 miles away from his home, is here 10, 15,000 miles away to another world. It was exciting, even though dangerous.
When I was on a PT boat, I was fully aware of the fact that I was in a very vulnerable position. Let's put it that way. And I was very excited about it. I felt this was a chance to really prove something. And when I was on the transport, it's like being on a huge hotel. A couple hundred people are in your care.
I spoke what passed for German, but I was able to communicate quite well. Entering into homes in German towns and ordering people to get out, setting up a little command post. One of the things which stands out in my mind were rather vocal, excited objections to being removed from their homes and denying that they had anything to do with the Nazis, denying that they had any sympathy, and going through photo albums and see pictures of their sons standing over desecrated Jewish tombstones and cemeteries.
We were freezing. It was cold. It was wet. We were hungry and frightened, yes. In the wintertime, you got canned food, and the top layer is always frozen, and you have to use your bayonet to take the ice off it. You don't know where you are. You don't know where you're going. It's pretty miserable. It's survival time. You grow up in a mighty quick way.
My submarine, we were assigned during the Battle of Leyte Gulf to cut off what was apparently by that time a retreat by the remains of the Japanese fleet. And as we closed in, I noticed 2 pips on the radar, but I said, Captain, it looks like a large destroyer or a small cruiser, which was kind of nervy, I suppose, and it turned out to be a small cruiser. And we made an attack half submerged with a spread of 4 torpedoes, as I recall. And it had about 1,000 Japanese sailors aboard, and the ship sunk immediately. I've since thought about those men and their death and regretted it, as I regret war generally.
The real opposition was with the kamikaze planes. On our second trip to Okinawa, we were involved in an attack. There were maybe 800 Japanese suicide planes, kamikaze planes. I was just transfixed by what was going on. I mean, just couldn't believe that this was happening. It was like you were in a fantasy world of some kind. And one of them came very close to us and probably dropped the bomb. We didn't see it. And it hit the fantail of our ship and damaged it. And then I saw it land on the number 2 turret of the USS Birmingham, a light cruiser that was about 1,000 feet away from us. So that was a very scary episode.
One of the things which I find astounding was I don't recall any indication of such a thing as a concentration camp until there was a time when we got to Dachau and saw the crematoria, the ovens, and the barbed wire trenches with dog kennels and so on. It was horrifying to discover what it was that was going on.
The Battle of the Bulge. We lost more men in that offensive than we did in D-Day. I was in a foxhole, and the bombs were bursting around, but that was usual. And again, you're frightened, so nothing out of the ordinary. And all of a sudden, one foot feels nice and warm. It was delightful. Of course, I looked down, and I'm standing in a puddle of blood. I'd just been hit with shrapnel in my legs. And I went to the hospital. But why was I lucky? Imagine being entrenched in an unmovable position with German tanks coming at you and no way to get the hell out. Almost my whole outfit was wiped out. So I was very lucky and thankful that I got hit. It saved my life.
We got news that this new type of bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, and it filtered down to us that many, many people were killed. It was a devastating weapon. Ultimately, we found out that that first bomb killed 80,000 people. It's incredible. And that they didn't surrender. So about a week later, we got news that they dropped the second bomb on Nagasaki. Well, they finally surrendered in Nagasaki. Our squadron passed maybe 1,000 yards away from the Missouri. We were told that the surrender was going on. It was an extraordinary day.
More than 16 million Americans served during World War II. For these five, it brought a coming of age and provided a path to education through disabled veterans' benefits and the GI Bill. They then went on to a lifetime of distinction in law.
I think the service in the war helped me understand life and dealing with people. I think the experience in World War II had an overall permanent beneficial experience for me.
Like the other of my colleagues, we all carry a full load. Nobody gives up. Everybody continues working. Try more cases than anybody else. I teach on the side, and I love it all.
I love the law. And the United States District Court is without any doubt the greatest court in the world, in the sense that it deals with every conceivable aspect of the law. If senior judges all decided to go fishing, I think the federal judiciary would be in a great deal of difficulty. And so we perform a significant service to the country.
I learned a lot from being a naval officer and being in command, being a navigator on a troop ship with 200 lives in my hands.
I had learned how to command, which stood me in good stead when I was a professor at Columbia and when I walked into the courtroom. I was in full command of that courtroom, and I have been since, just as I was when I was standing watch. The ship was mine, the courtroom was mine, the classroom was mine, and I had to make immediate decisions, and I knew they would be followed. If I said full speed ahead, that's what was going to happen. So I was responsible. So I learned both discipline and assurance of command.
From Bronze Stars and Purple Hearts to the bench, the honor, courage, and duty demonstrated through war and then in the law, these judges have given a lifetime of service. On this Veterans Day, we honor all of you.